todo lo que comemos, hacemos, decimos, va a afectar la parte física, la parte mental, la parte emocional a fuerzas.
Lo sensible me va a mostrar lo que me hace sentir bien. Cuando yo tengo dolor y me abro al dolor, voy a aprender a descubrir lo que sana mi dolor. La medicina está dentro.
Explorar la eroticidad del cuerpo físico sin poner barreras, ¿no? Y abrir una comunicación plena con mi pareja. Mira, tócame de esta manera.
Si crees que algo externo a ti te va a dar esa felicidad, esa plenitud, estamos bien equivocados, caray.
Y este es el podcast de KarinaVelasco. Descubre el mundo con otros ojos. Y descubrir los secretos de una vida sana es uno de los más grandes anhelos del ser humano. Y esto nos ha llevado a probar diversas teorías. Algunas de ellas tienen su origen de conocimientos milenarios y otras son el resultado de investigaciones novedosas, pero en su mayoría coincidimos todos en que la importancia del equilibrio está en la nutrición del espíritu, la mente y el cuerpo. Es por eso que me he dedicado por años al estudio y a probar todas estas teorías, y mi interés por temas de nutrición, espiritualidad me ha llevado a viajar por diferentes países, a aprender filosofías tradicionales, principalmente de origen oriental, y a estudiar con los grandes innovadores en el mundo de la nutrición holística y expertos en teorías dietéticas. Y por eso surge la idea de hacer mi libro, El arte de la vida sana, que escribí hace 10 años, en el cual también les cuento mi transformación interior, mi lucha por encontrar este equilibrio en un peso ideal, un cuerpo sano y con toda la plenitud, que es lo que comparto con ustedes. Lo pueden encontrar en línea o por supuesto en las librerías de México. Y hoy estoy muy emocionada de compartir con ustedes. Ya saben que me encanta conocer personas increíbles en esta vida que se dediquen al autodescubrimiento, a la transformación, a la espiritualidad. Y muchos de ellos no hablan español, pero de todas formas, como sé que les gusta conocer a mis amigos, a gente muy interesante, pues dije, vamos a hacer este podcast en inglés. Y quiero presentarles precisamente a Kut Blackson, que es un gran amigo y además un conferencista y maestro de transformación que ya ha sido considerado como un líder de la próxima generación en el ámbito de crecimiento personal y que tiene un estilo que inspira y que ayuda a aquellos a despertar y accesar todo su potencial y que viven auténticamente. Su primer libro me encantó, se llama You Are the One, tú eres el número 1, que fue un bestseller, y ahora lanza su nuevo libro que es una hermosura que se llama The Magic of Surrender, el poder que tenemos de rendirnos. Y puedes encontrar mucho más información en sus redes, @KutBlackson y en kutblackson.com. Es un gusto para mí tener a Kut el día de hoy, así que si no entienden inglés, háblenle a un amigo para que haga la traducción porque no se pueden perder este episodio. And I'm so happy to have today Kut Blackson in this podcast. He's been an amazing friend for the last years, and I've learned so much about his work and his devotion to his task that it's unbelievable. Like, believe me, guys, Kut is one of the persons I know that works the most. Like, he's totally in it with this huge commitment to supporting people all over the world, and he's done a magnificent job. So I wanted to have you in my podcast, especially right now with your new book that I'm super excited because I read the past one, Kut, You Are the One, which I loved. But I'm so happy you tapped into this beautiful topic that I think it's imperative in any life-changing transformational experience, which is the magic of surrender. So thank you for making this happen and being in the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Karina. I really appreciate you, love you, and it's an honor to be here.
So good. Let's start. First things first. A lot of the community that's listening to this podcast don't know your story, and I think your story is so inspiring of what brought you to this point of supporting so many people in the world in their transformational journey.
Sure. I was born in Ghana, West Africa. My father's from Ghana. My mother's Japanese. I grew up in London. Now I live in, I was kind of pretty much living in Los Angeles and now Miami and partly Mexico, where you're from. And so I feel like a global citizen. And, from a very young age, I was a very sensitive kid. So I would feel the suffering of humans, people around me so deeply that there was a deep desire to alleviate people's pain, alleviate people's suffering. I just didn't know how. And so, I grew up without very much, around folks that didn't have very much, but I also went to school, had a scholarship to a very prestigious school where many of my friends were, the sons of presidents and politicians and, wealthy entrepreneurs. And so I grew up in this kind of juxtaposition where I was around people who had every reason to be happy yet weren't. And I grew up around folks that had every reason to not be happy yet were. And so that began a questioning inside of me in terms of, like, what is this life? What is the purpose of life? And I remember at 5, 6, 7 years old, beginning to ask myself those questions, and nothing, it just doesn't seem to make sense, like, is the purpose of life just to wake up, make money, eat, sleep, have sex, have a house, have a car, go on a vacation, and then die? Like, surely there has to be more to this process of living than that. And so I began questioning at a very young age, but also, one of my first memories too that really impacted me was I remember being a chubby kid in Ghana, West Africa, and I was lost in the crowd and saw a crippled woman who couldn't walk. She picks up the sand that a man walks on, wipes it on her face, and stands up. To call that a miracle. And so week after week, I grew up seeing blind people see and deaf people hear and people stand up out of wheelchairs. And the same man whose stand she picked up would look at a woman in a wheelchair and he would say, "Stand up, you're not sick. Why are you in this wheelchair? Stand up." And boom, she would stand up. The same man would put his hands on a person that was blind and their eyes would open and they would see. And so this was my father. He was considered the miracle man of Africa. I grew up around these mystical miracles and possibilities. I honestly thought it was normal and didn't seem like a big deal to me at that time. And that was my path. And when I was age 8, my father built 300 churches in Ghana, West Africa.
Wow.
Hundreds of thousands of followers. We had a huge church in London at the time. At the height, there were 4,000 to 5,000 people every Sunday. And when I was age 8, I was thrown into the audience. And that's kind of how my speaking journey began. My father said, "Son, speak." I had no idea this was coming. And something came through me and an energy came through and started speaking. And that began my speaking career. And when I was 14, I was ordained as a minister. I was given a mandate to take over my father's spiritual organization, a lot of hopes, a lot of dreams. My entire life was set out for me, and a lot of hopes, a lot of dreams were pinned on me, a lot of pressure from hundreds of thousands of people. Yet in that moment, Karina, I knew that was not my path. I had this sinking, strange feeling, that feeling when you know that something isn't aligned. I knew that wasn't my path. I knew that this was not my destiny. But the truth is, as a young boy, I was too afraid to tell the truth to my father. I was too afraid to disappoint my father. I was afraid that if I dared to be myself and if I dared to reveal who I really was, that I would lose love, that I would be outcast, that I would be alone, that I would be abandoned, then I would not have a relationship. And so I suppressed my truth, like many of us do in many ways. And I think one of the ways that we as human beings keep ourselves stuck, keep ourselves unhappy, keep ourselves from manifesting our next level are all the ways that we lie to ourselves. We stay in relationships that aren't fulfilling and we're no longer in love. We work jobs out of survival, which, we have to do what we have to do, but we do things and we work jobs out of survival, even though deep down we know that this is not the purpose and the reason for why we were put on the planet. And I really feel that, and I felt this pain growing up, that one of the greatest forms of suffering and pain for human beings is to feel that there is a deeper purpose, there is a gift, there is a creativity, there is something that your soul has been put on this planet to give and share and express, and to not give that. And so for me, I felt that as a kid. I felt that at 14. And when I turned 18, I looked into my future and I realized I had to make a decision. Do I go to university? Do I not? What do I do with my life? And I looked at the expected path. And I could follow my father's version for my life. But I really feel that you cannot truly be happy and live a fulfilling life being someone that you're not. You cannot truly be fulfilled and happy living someone else's version for your life. And I looked at that version for my life and I saw that, I could be successful by everyone else's standards. But if I don't have myself, if I don't have my truth, if I don't have my integrity, then I felt like I was already dead. I was already dying. And then I looked at the path that was calling me. And Karina, the path that was calling me, that I literally had no idea how I was going to do it. The path that was calling me was to come to America, specifically to California, specifically to Los Angeles or San Diego, because all of the authors and, I read like 800 books from age 8 to, I think it was 18 in self-help and spirituality, and started young like you. And all of the authors, at least the Western authors, lived in Los Angeles or Southern California or San Diego, Santa Barbara, and I wanted to come to meet them and learn from them and study with them and go to their seminars and go into that field. And yet I had no money, no college degree, no contacts, knew no one, no family support except my mother. And yet my soul was guiding me. Many times your soul will guide you in a direction that currently doesn't make sense. We often question it. We often doubt it. We're often afraid of it. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. The soul, I believe, doesn't really care about convenience. The soul cares about the fulfillment of our destiny. The soul cares about our evolution. And so I was terrified. I was scared. I was questioning. And long story short, I finally decided to have the conversation with my father, biggest day of my life at that moment. Told him I wasn't going to take over. We didn't speak for, I would say, almost 2 years, literally. And it was very challenging, a lot of tears, a lot of grief, a lot of letting go, a lot of surrender. But I knew I was on the right path. And I really feel that when we follow our souls, when we follow our deepest truth, we will always end up in the perfect place. Maybe not in the time that we think. Maybe we won't take the route or the road that we think, but we will always end up in the perfect place, in the perfect moment, in divine timing. And so I told my father I wasn't taking over, and long story short, ended up winning in the green card lottery, a green card to come to the US. And that was my sign. And I think when we follow, and this is really how I've lived my life in terms of surrender, but didn't really realize it until I was writing my book. And so I think when we really surrender and follow our soul and our truth, we are in the flow. When we really surrender and follow our soul and our truth, that's when I think the universe rises to support us. That's when nature, the forces of nature, kind of support us because we are working in harmony with nature. And won the green card, came to the US with 2 suitcases, $1,000, knew no one in the country, and just showed up in Los Angeles and Venice Beach and began my journey. Found many of the mentors and teachers, everyone from Louis Hayes, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Marianne Williamson, Dan Millman, Jack Canfield, and studied with them, learned from them. And then I started traveling the world in search of answers. Went to Thailand and studied with monks, went to Bali, studied with shamans, went to Peru, went to Latin America, studied with, shamans there, went to Israel, studied with rabbis, went to India, studied with mystics and gurus, and went on my own quest. And it was really out of that I came at a very young age to wanting to help. I felt so free that I wanted people to feel the freedom I felt, of just freedom of being. I was broke, I had no money, I had no reason to be happy, but I was so happy. And then I started coaching people, and one person led to the next and led to the next. And then just started to grow and evolve and expand, and seminars and, 500 people, 600, 700 people, it just started growing. And it was an organic growth. And so that's been a bit of my journey.
Wow, that's so inspiring, especially when you say there's this delicate moment in our lives where we either keep going where we're expected to go versus like really listening to our soul and follow that purpose. But my question for you is, how do I find my soul, my truth, my purpose? Because how do I get in tap with that?
Okay, I think there's a couple of questions there inside of that one question. How do I find my truth, and how do I find my purpose? So let me just start with the first piece because they're still connected. So I would say, yes, one of the things that keeps us stuck, one of the things that also keeps us stuck from being happy, see, to me, happiness is actually, shall I say, simple. But one of the things that stops us is also then the same thing that stops us from finding our purpose. See, as human beings, in many ways, we are constantly lying to ourselves. We're lying to ourselves about who we are. We're lying to ourselves about what we feel. We're lying to ourselves about what we want. We're pretending to be something that we're not in order to get love and validation and approval to fit in. And then we die. And then we wonder like, wow, we live with all these regrets. And so I think where we can begin, before even saying, what is my purpose? Because if we don't know who we are, if we're not in touch with our truth, what we will think our purpose is and what will make up what our purpose is and what we want will also be a lie. We won't know it's a lie, but it will also be a lie. Then we'll end up chasing an empty ghost of a purpose. So the first place we have to start is really looking at, okay, to really get honest with ourselves. To me, this is real spirituality. This is real yoga. We think that spirituality is, floating in the clouds, opening the pineal gland. I mean, that's all great, floating in other dimensions. Real spirituality is truth, integrated, embodied, and living truth. So first, let's start by asking ourselves the question, what lies am I telling myself? And really be with that. What lies am I telling myself? We're constantly lying to ourselves. Yeah, this relationship. No, it's not. We know it's not. We know it's not a lie. What lies am I telling myself about my job? What lies am I telling myself about my addiction? I have it covered. I'm fine. I'm good. It's not harming me. No, that addiction, that smoking, that drug, whatever it is clouding. The truth is, it's clouding my ability to be totally connected and aligned with my soul. And I can no longer do that anymore because many times we get to a stage in our life where the life that we have created is now too small for what our soul is seeking to become. And in that moment, we are in a precipice. In that moment, we are at a turning point. In that moment, we are at a jumping off point where the next level of your life will require the next level of you, which will require that you let go of the old patterns, old addictions, old ways of being, old stories. But it's so often scary to let go because we're so identified with the person that we have been up until now. We're so identified with how we've done things up until now. We're so identified with who we've been, how people perceive us. And the ego identifies with the old. And that is a kind of safety in the comfort. And so to have the courage, and that's why the subtitle of the book is Finding the Courage to Let Go. To have the courage to let go of who you've been and tell the truth to yourself about who you are and what's not working. And so what lies am I telling myself? We are often afraid to tell ourselves the truth because we are afraid of the consequences. I was afraid of the consequences as a young boy of telling the truth. My fear was if I tell the truth, I will lose my father, I will lose everything, I will lose everything I know. But in not telling the truth, we lose ourselves and we keep ourselves stuck and blocked from truly living our purpose. And so be honest, really the courage to be honest. What lies am I telling myself? What am I pretending to not know? That's another question. Sometimes we pretend. We play this game of confusion and smokescreen of I'm not sure, I'm confused, when deep down, we know the truth. Deep down, at the deepest part of us, we have a sense, we have a knowing. But sometimes we play a game of confusion as a smokescreen, as a way to not have to own the truth because, what if I own the truth? Then I might have to do something about it. I'm not sure what my purpose is, Karina. I'm not sure what my purpose is because if I really owned that I did have a sense, I might have to put myself on the line and take the action and do the work and step up and take the responsibility and commit fully and face the rejection and the resistance and the ridicule and what have you that it might take to live my purpose. Or sometimes it's easier to not know what my purpose is, pretend and not know what my purpose is so that I can always live in the future hope and fantasy of my dream, goal, and vision and not have to fulfill my potential. In so many ways, we're lying to ourselves. It takes courage. So what lies am I telling? What am I pretending to not know? Third question I would invite everyone to sit with, to begin with, is really think about what is it cost? What are the lies I'm telling myself costing me? Because it does cost us to tell lies to ourselves. What is it costing me? It's usually painful. Some people might ask, well, how do I know if I'm lying to myself? If I'm lying to myself, here's how. because you will feel pain. It will be painful. When we feel pain as human beings, as a self-preservation mechanism, what we tend to do is we deny, we avoid, we deny, we argue, we justify, we avoid. And what we tend to do also is we distract ourselves. We sex it away, we eat it away, we spiritualize it away, we meditate away, we medicate it away, we shop it away, we work it away, we social media it away, just so that we don't have to feel the pain of what we feel. But that just allows us to continue in the lie, in the disconnect. Pain is a gift. Pain is a messenger. Pain is simply feedback for you, showing you where you are not living in integrity with your soul, where you are not living in integrity and harmony with your being and your truth. And so if you can acknowledge the pain and not suppress it, not judge it, not make it wrong, but use it to feel it. Wow, what is this pain teaching me? What does this pain show me about where I'm betraying myself? What is this pain showing me about where I'm not in alignment? What is this pain showing me about where I'm lying to myself about this relationship I'm in? What does this pain show me about my purpose? And to feel that pain and to use that pain as a calibration to navigate back to deeper truth. Because when we are living our truth, the pain dissolves. And so use the pain, embrace the pain, feel the pain, and use that to bring yourself back into alignment. And so when we're lying to ourselves, we're not going to be living our purpose, because then what we think we want is only what we think we want based on who we think we are. And purpose, I think, is such an important thing. There's this myth, and I'm going to call it as a myth. Some will agree, some won't agree. Maybe it will be controversial to some. If you're seeking your purpose, here's what I would say. Stop trying to find your purpose. Stop trying to find your purpose. Now, you might say, but Kut, you're the guy that helps you find the purpose. I do. Stop trying to find your purpose. Because sometimes the constant seeking of finding your purpose is actually the ego's sneaky strategy and avoidance from living the fullness of your purpose now. We're constantly postponing the living our purpose for some perfect moment in the future rather than living what's available to us now. On a spiritual level, I just want to say this, then maybe add a few practical suggestions. On a spiritual level, we incarnate as souls into this human experience. We all have certain lessons that our soul is seeking to learn. Life is the university and a classroom for our soul's evolution. Our parents, our brother, our sister, our mother, everyone we meet in every situation, every relationship is simply the curriculum for our soul's lesson and learning. When we understand that, we realize that the real purpose of life is to learn the lesson, to grow and evolve, expand, and become more of who we really are. On one spiritual level, if you understand that and you're learning, growing, and evolving, no matter what happens out there in the world, succeed or fail, so long as you're growing, learning, and evolving from every single situation and becoming more of who you are, connected more to yourself, you're living your purpose. Every moment of your life is your purpose. Life is the purpose of life. When you understand that, then you use everything for your growth and evolution. So that's one. So
yes, and before you go to the second part, I just want to have to point something out here regarding to my experience, and I think that's where surrender comes in, because for a long time I was kind of looking for a purpose, and like you say, I'm seeking, I'm investigating, I'm living life as a purpose, but not with a proper purpose of service. And I remember when quarantine started, everything kind of migrated from like doing workshops to having online sessions. And it just happened. So for me, it was like surrendering to that moment, to that big shift in humanity, the way we communicate, to start offering more one-on-one sessions. And I found out through that practice and surrender that life just brought me that that my purpose, and I feel it because, like you say, I feel it because it's easy, it's graceful, like to go into that. It's effortless in a sense that, oh my God, I have a session. It's not that. It's like I look forward, I feel satisfied, I feel I'm learning a lot. But the component for me was surrendering and allowing life to deliver me what I need to learn and to look forward to a bigger purpose that also goes beyond me.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes we have an idea of how we think our purpose should be, what we think our purpose is. But many times the idea of what we think our purpose is coming from the ego or coming from the mind, which in and of itself is conditioned. So then we're not really in touch with the soul's purpose, with the biggest purpose, So
exactly,
just practically, what I would invite people to feel into is, if you're not clear what your purpose is on a technical, human level, don't wait. Go in the direction. Just move. Just go in the direction of what you love. Go in the direction of what makes you most alive. Go in the direction of what's authentic. Follow the energy of the wave and go in the direction of where your soul is guiding you. And then take a step. As you take a step, life will show another step. Life will reveal to you another step. And your purpose will be revealed to you in the process of living itself. And I always tell people who say, Kut, how can I serve? I want to be of service. Don't wait. Start where you are, exactly as you are, exactly how you are, where you are, without what you have. Even if you're not more healed and you're not more enlightened and you don't have another certificate, start where you are by responding to the need in the moment, because all around you, especially now on this planet, if we truly surrender, we look around, the world is going through so many challenges, as you know, Karina, on the planet, humanity is falling apart, paradigms falling apart, things happening that life is giving us. All of these challenging experiences of life is, I believe, an invitation from the universe for us to serve. Mm-hmm. And so really feel into, how can I be of service? How can I respond to the need that's in front of me? When we respond to the need that's in front of us and surrender to that, maybe maybe what's in front of us doesn't match our idea of what we would like to do. But this is what's showing up in front of us. If we're willing to surrender to that, then we grow and evolve. And then we respond to what's next, then we go and evolve and respond to what's next. And each time we respond to be of service, how we can, with what's right in front of us, then we keep expanding, we keep evolving, we keep developing, and then we become even more ready for the next level of service in our lives. I could get more practical and some specifics around purpose if you want, but I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, just to finish the purpose before we go into surrendering, a lot of people, also there's this confusion of purpose is to be a CEO or purpose is to earn this much dollars. But I think for me, the difference between a mundane purpose or a conditioned purpose versus the soul purpose is that you really don't have that clear of idea, but it's more into the action. I want to be of service. I want to be creative. I want to be part of creating Tesla cars or electric, panels. It goes a little bit more beyond yourself, because I think we live in such a self-absorbed world that we need to remember that our soul is co-creative, that it goes beyond yourself. It's the purpose of my soul is to be of service to planet Earth, to humanity, not just to myself. So can you tap a little bit more into that?
Yeah, I think the purpose, your job is not your purpose. Your job is simply the vehicle for your soul to express its true purpose through. So you can be a basketball player. That's not your purpose. You can be a janitor. That's not your purpose. You can be an inventor. That's not your purpose. Purpose is an essence. Purpose is an internal energy. So your job is not your purpose. You can live your purpose no matter what it is you're doing. Your job is what you do. Your purpose is what you are, and your purpose is what you're being and what you express. And so even if you're working a job that you hate, fair enough. I'm not saying don't try to find a job that's more aligned, or more in integrity with you, definitely. But even if you don't like the job where you are, you can still find a way as a real estate agent, as a janitor, as a grocery store clerk, as a school teacher, as a librarian. You can find a way to use that job to express your purpose. And so perhaps if you really get clear that your purpose on the planet is to love, your purpose on the planet is to bring more compassion, your purpose on the planet is to bridge cultures, your purpose on the planet is to bring more love, healing, and light to the world. You can be that and express that no matter what it is that you do. So there's what you do, and there's what you are, and then there's what you're being. And your purpose is what you're being and how you express through what you do. And your job is just a vehicle for that. So you don't have to wait. Mm-hmm. You can just begin where you are in service and express love and transmit love. And trust that as you follow that directive, as you move in that direction, the one step will lead to the next step, and the next step will lead to the next step. Look at Oprah, okay? Mm-hmm. Oprah was someone who had no idea that she was going to be this global, iconic businesswoman, media mogul. That's not her purpose. Part of her purpose is communication. The love for communication, and so and ideas. And so she started off as a newscaster reading the news, but that was just her job. She was so compassionate that she would cry and empathetic. She would cry reading the news. They had to fire her because she was too compassionate and felt for the people that she was reading the news about. And so they fired her, but they gave her it was a demotion to a small little talk show in one city. She was so good at that talk show, still communicating, living her purpose. The form changed, that then they gave her a promotion, and more cities were added, and then syndication, and then boom, the Oprah Winfrey Show syndicated nationally around the world. And so her purpose was communication. Her purpose was bringing light. Her purpose was bringing people together. You can live your purpose no matter what it is you're doing. You can live your purpose with your children. You can live your purpose with your wife. You can live your purpose at home. You can live your purpose when you're shopping in the grocery store. Purpose is what you can live moment to moment, and we can all do that.
Wow, I love it. Thank you so much, Kut. Every time I listen to you when you're in this purpose mode, it's so inspiring because you can feel it. Like when somebody talks from their truth, when somebody talks with purpose, it's a different sensation that just listening with your ears. It's like listening with your whole body. And I think that's part of, like, let's say, a compass to know you're in the right track.
Y me han preguntado ¿qué pueden hacer para cambiar un hábito? ¿Qué pueden hacer para cambiar algún patrón de conducta, alguna emoción que llevan reprimiendo muchísimo tiempo, o algún rencor que le tengan a otra persona, culpa, vergüenza? Y es por eso que hace unos años hice la creación de este curso basado en mi libro El arte de la transformación, que es la alquimia práctica. Y la alquimia es el proceso justamente de integrar los 4 elementos dentro del nuevo espacio que es el éter, despertando nuestro potencial humano con la integración de todos los aspectos de nuestro ser. Esta experiencia navega en 6 módulos las técnicas de autoconocimiento y meditaciones para lograr la vida que queremos y que merecemos. Y el modo de navegación de este curso en línea es un módulo por semana, incluyendo la práctica diaria de las meditaciones. Y en la 7ª semana ya puedes continuar con las meditaciones de acuerdo a tus necesidades. Lo puedes descargar y adquirir ahora en institutohabitos.com.
Coming to your new book, The Magic of Surrender, which I love the title. I love the image because I've spent some time with you on the beach and I see how you surrender to life in such a graceful way. So what is it really to surrender? Because sometimes we think surrender equals at not doing anything or surrender to someone else's power. But for you, what was the idea of this book and what is surrender?
Yeah, first I just want to say a preface, because it might be interesting, is This was not the book I thought I was going to write. I thought I was going to write another kind of book. I remember when I first started thinking of the idea of the book, I had a whiteboard the size of an entire wall with a whole bunch of different ideas. And I was brainstorming idea and hundreds of ideas. And I thought, wow, that would be a great book that would sell. And people want that topic and people love that. And that would be kind of catchy. And there was one moment in the process where literally the soul of the book just revealed itself to me. It just dropped in, Karina. It revealed itself. And it was like, the book is about surrender. And it was so obvious, so clear, yet so shocking that I couldn't believe it. And my ego had a moment of resistance to, well, that's not what I want to write about. I want to write about this thing over here. But it was so clear that to resist it would have been futile, would have been suffering. And so I had to surrender to the book that was seeking to be written. And there was a book that was seeking to be written that was about surrender. And when I surrendered to that, everything started to flow. And so I felt like that was a moment of surrender. Then I had a different title in mind. There are all these other titles, and no, The Magic of Surrender. Even the book cover. I hated the book cover when I first saw it. Then I had to surrender, and it became clear. Like I had in my mind the idea of a book cover I thought would have been a great book cover. But when I held the book in my hand a few weeks ago for the first time, I thought, this is it. This is the book cover, And so to surrender, I believe, is the most powerful thing that we can do as human beings. Surrender is the password to freedom. Surrender is the key to the greatness. And all of the great ones, Jesus, Buddha, Mother Teresa, Mandela, JFK, MLK, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, at some point, they all came to the moment of their lives where they had to surrender their idea of what they thought their life should look like to open themselves to something bigger. To surrender is to let go of trying to force life to be what we think it should be. To surrender is to let go of trying to manipulate and control life into our limited perspective based on our ego mind, which is conditioned from culture and past and parents and programming and religion, etc. Is to let go of our limited idea of what we think we want, what we think we should be doing. To surrender is to let go of the idea of the life we think we should be living, so that we can truly be available and open to the life that is seeking to express, the life that is seeking to unfold, to be open. Surrender is openness. Surrender is availability. And when we live in that openness, yes, then we are available to infinite possibilities rather than attached to a very limited vision of what we think should be, because the mind, and many times we've been conditioned as human beings to create from the mind and live from the mind and manifest from the mind and set goals from the mind. But the mind is limited to past experiences, and the mind doesn't see the entire infinite, huge tapestry or art piece that is our life. The mind, it's like looking at a painting. The mind sees a very small piece of it. The mind doesn't see the whole picture. And so we think we know what we want. We think what we want is what we want. But I don't know about you, Karina. I mean, I do kind of know because we've talked. But there's moments in my life where I really thought I wanted that relationship. I really wanted that relationship to work. And it's only in retrospect afterwards that I think back and go, oh, I'm so glad that relationship did not work out. Or I'm so glad that situation, a business, partnership didn't work out. I'm so glad that project didn't work out, but I wasn't able to see in the moment. So to surrender is to live without attachment, is to be open and available. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you don't do anything. So to surrender is to feel, take the space and the time to feel the deepest truth in your heart and be willing to follow that truth, and then stay curious, available and open to allowing life to guide you. We are typically conditioned, and to me, I guess through the book, I'm inviting a new paradigm in spirituality and self-help and manifestation and this whole game of personal development. It's a new paradigm because we're conditioned. Oh, you got to know what you want, Karina. You have to know what you want. Yeah, but if you're not in touch with who you are, what you want is only going to be what you think you want. It's not going to be what you really want. It's going to be what you think you want with your dad and your mom and, where you grew up. is just going to have programmed you to believe that you want.
I think, sorry, but I think surrender also goes, it's a component that goes deeper than trust, because trust can be also conditioned by the narratives and beliefs, that, we've acquired. And for me, surrender goes from the space of, I really don't know, versus trust sometimes is like, I trust is going to end up the way I think. And surrender is just like being open for accepting what comes your way in a deeper sense, even not knowing what's going to happen, like dealing with uncertainty. Exactly. It has that component.
Yeah, surrender is surrender is the shift of the question from what do I want? What do I want from what does Karina want? What do I want, right? Karina wants this, Kut wants this. What do I want? The I, to a different, bigger question, which is that unknown. It's a bigger question of saying, what is it that life wants to express through me? What is it that the universe wants to express through me? What is it that this innate intelligence, the divine, wants to express through me? And then being willing to expand and open yourself to that question, feel, listen, and feel. What is the deepest impulse of what life wants to create through me? And align with that. Feel into that. What is the highest that is seeking to happen in this moment, in this situation, in this relationship? And to not think we know. And your point is so important. One of the keys to surrender is the willingness to give up the illusion that you might understand, the addiction to knowing. The ego, the mind, is constantly addicted to control. Control is the master addiction. And one of the ways we control is constantly trying to make meaning and understand what everything means, because we're addicted to knowing as a way to keep ourselves safe, which is actually kind of an illusion, because what do we really know? Many times we thought we knew what something was, and it wasn't. So the degree to which we can embrace the unknown, and so much of life is unknown, is the degree to which we can experience freedom. If we can dance in the unknown. And so then we stay curious, rather than trying to go, oh, this is what this. See, when we hold so tightly to make meaning of, oh, this is what this relationship is. This is what this means. Then we get attached to an idea of what something is. We contract in that moment onto an understanding, a meaning. Then we're not available for all the other interpretations and all the other possibilities of what life might be seeking to unfold. And life's intelligence, the intelligence of life, is way bigger. It's unconditioned, pure consciousness is way beyond what you and I, even in our brilliance, can even imagine. And so what I'm really saying is when we surrender and we open to the unknown, to life, beyond ourselves, then we're no longer limited to our conditioning. We're open to the magnificence of life, the intelligence of life flowing and moving and revealing itself through us. That doesn't mean you sit on the couch and do nothing. That doesn't mean you sit in Savasana for 14 days. It means that you feel deep, you move in the direction of what's true, you take action. It's like you catch the wave, you take action, you surf that wave, you give 100%, but you're also open, because sometimes the goal that you think is the goal that you're pursuing is not really the goal. It's just the direction that your soul is taking you on to learn what you need to learn, to meet who you need to learn, to become who you need to become, so that you can then pivot over to the right and fulfill your true destiny, And so the openness is so key.
So sometimes I feel for a lot of people who are listening, like surrendering to external situations, it's easier than really fulfilling your purpose in relationship. That means starting with your family and then in romantic relationships. So how does surrendering work in that frame of also fulfilling my purpose in relationship? And how do I make it work? Because it's not easy to let, the script of your perfect woman, the perfect guy, the perfect mom, the perfect sister, and just like to dismantle that to be able to be yourself and fulfill purpose in relating.
Okay, so I do have some questions about your question, but let me answer one piece first. Yeah, I think many times we are living a script. You hit the nail on the head. Many times as human beings, we're living a script, and we're not conscious and aware that we're living a script. We are conditioned. Yes, we're conditioned. Karina's conditioned, Kut's conditioned. We're conditioned. And the degree to which we're conditioned is the degree to which we're not free, and the degree to which we don't have free will. We are just living the conditioning of our past programming as a script. And you can imagine what that looks like now when two people come into a relationship, one conditioned person and another conditioned person coming together, relating to each other through their conditioning. That's going to be a lot of resistance and trauma and fighting and back and forth rather than truly surrendering. So I just want to just back up and just kind of share a bit about conditioning, because I think that might give people a sense of something to think about in a nutshell. Yeah. When we're born free. If you look at a child, the child flows from the heavens or wherever they flow from. They're free. You know, you look at a child isn't holding back. A child is full of love, and just, it's not going, oh, I'm too fat. What do you think of me? My little belly here. Or a child will sing and express itself. It's not thinking, I can't sing like Luis Miguel, and I can't sing like Celine Dion. It just sings. It doesn't care. A child will fall down, poop its pants. A child will run up to the drug dealer and will run up to Mother Teresa and hug them the same way. It doesn't care. There's a reason why we look into a child's eyes and we're reminded of our true essence. We're reminded of ourselves because a child is pure. A child is surrendered to the moment. A child is surrendered to the flow. A child is surrendered to life. But what happens? We're born, we meet our parents. And our parents, some of them are crazy. You know, they're doing the best that they can do based on their life and conditioning. We're born into a framework. Some of it's dysfunctional in some ways. Maybe they were fighting. There are a lot of emotion. Maybe there was instability. Maybe mom was around. Maybe dad wasn't around. Maybe mom was alcoholic. Dad was an alcoholic. Father had mental illness. Maybe they were nice, but they just even weren't around. So our emotional needs weren't met. So two things happen that begin to disconnect us into that conditioned script of a space. The first thing is, as children, because we're sensitive, we start learning all sorts of ways to shut down, disconnect, not feel. Not feel the pain of mom not being here, not feel the pain of dad and mom fighting all the time. So we shut down, disconnect, not feel. And in doing so, we start suppressing our feelings and emotions. They build up, layers and layers and layers build up, and start disconnecting us from our authentic truth, our authentic nature. The other thing that starts happening is we go into life and perhaps dad wanted us to be a son. Dad wanted a boy. And so when we act like a girl, we don't get love. And we act a bit more boyish, we get love. Maybe as a boy, you cried and you were emotional, and dad said, or someone said, boys don't cry. So we started shutting down parts of ourselves. So we start developing a role, a personality, a mechanism, a persona. We start developing all of these masks to fit in, get love, be approved. Fit in, get love, be approved, be validated. For me, I thought as a preacher's kid, the healer's kid, that I needed to be the perfect son, sweet, kind, nice, responsible, just perfect. And that was my little script. That was my little role. That was my little pattern, of my strategy to get love and fit in. So now we've become this person where we've learned to avoid pain and get love. And so we contort ourselves visually. If you can imagine, you contort yourself into a kind of shape to get love, avoid pain, and we become this person. And we think that this is who we are. We really believe that, no, I am this way. I'm sweet. I'm nice. I'm independent. I'm funny. And so my question is, this is where we have to begin questioning ourselves, because we don't question ourselves, because we're so stuck in this identity of what we've been conditioned to be. Is who I am who I really am? Or is it simply what I've been conditioned to be? And if we can begin to first start becoming aware of the fact that I'm conditioned, and start becoming aware of our conditioning by beginning to observe our reactions, beginning to observe how we show up, beginning to observe how we respond or don't respond, beginning to observe what triggers us, beginning to observe where we hold back, on top of that, begin to observe the dynamics in relationships, because relationships can often be, you touched on relationships, can often be an amazing way to see yourself. Relationships are a kind of mirror to see yourself, because in relationship, we tend to attract to us a mirror manifestation of ourselves in some form, shape, or another, of a person that reflects to us aspects of ourselves that we most need to heal, integrate, and make peace with. And so observe, what kind of relationships do you attract? If you start seeing certain patterns of attracting cheaters, attracting people that don't commit, attracting people that don't respect you, don't honor you, ghost you, aren't present, are possessive, are jealous, and this is a theme, it's a pattern, and you keep attracting it, this can also show you what inside of yourself is not complete. And so I think if we can begin to become aware of our conditioning, work with our conditioning, observe ourselves, witness ourselves, and also work with the emotions and feelings that we've suppressed growing up, then we can start, let's say, clearing. That's the work of clearing and releasing and healing those layers, and then bringing love to those parts of ourselves that are hurting. Then in relationship, if we don't do that, in relationship, we're kind of like two conditioned people come together and we're relating to each other from ego to ego, and not able to really see who the other person is, not able to really see and touch into the essence of your partner. And so now ego to ego, constant fighting, ego to ego, constant stress, constant, aggravation, constant dysfunction, constant stuff, sparking, triggering. And so what I would say is, when you understand the real purpose of relationship, then you understand it's about evolution. Then you understand even in relationship, when your shit comes up, it's not necessarily bad if you have the understanding that, yes, relationship is about evolution and learning, growth, healing. Then you can hold each other as your stuff, as your friction and conflict comes up, to move through it as a yoga, as a transformational path. As you and your partner do the healing, clear stuff, release layers within yourself, and connect more with your own soul, are able to see each other's soul even more clearly, then I really believe that's the moment, more and more, when you can align in sync with the true essence for the full activation and realization of why your soul and their soul have come together, and the true purpose of what your soul and your partner's soul have come together to fulfill in the expression of your purpose. And when you understand that, you don't possess your partner in relationship, and they don't possess you. In relationship, from ego to ego, when we're stuck in our wounds and when we're stuck in our daddy, mommy issues that's unresolved, we're often trying to get our needs met from our partner that wasn't met growing up as children. You got to give me the security dad didn't give me. You've got to, make me feel like mommy never made me feel. And so now we're holding each other, attaching each other, not able to just purely love each other and really see each other as souls. When we see each other as souls, then we're able to honor the other person's soul's journey. Mm-hmm. Even if the other person's soul's journey might make us feel a bit, uncomfortable, or if the other person's soul's journey may not be what we would want, but if we were really able to understand, I don't own my partner. I don't own them. They're not a possession. Love is not a possession. Their soul has its own journey. Then we can truly move into a space of love. And love holds the space for another person's soul's evolution. Mm. And love is truly committed to another person's soul growth. To me, that's what real relationship is, exactly. Real love is. And then we're able to say, okay, maybe you need to go do this, Karina. Mm-hmm. It challenges me. I'm going to miss you. But I know when I feel your soul, this is what you need to do. And I love you and I love your soul. And I'm not going to impose my ego wanting to keep you here because I feel you need to do this. And then we can truly love each other in the way that we were designed to.
That's beautiful, because we all are love, and we all have this expression of love. What I always say, it's personality and identity is what gets on the way. So we have 5 more minutes, Kut, and I want to close this podcast with something that I think about your title that resonates with me, because I love surrendering, but surrendering to what? So magic. For me, that word is so precious. It's like my little candy that lights up my path and gives me courage to go ahead, like the discovery to be in magic. So for you, what's magic, and how can we feel that magic in your book?
Yeah, I don't mean this kind of Harry Potter, hocus pocus, magic. David Copperfield magic.
What are you talking about? I want to fly on my broom.
I think magic takes us from the ordinary to the extraordinary. Magic, when I say magic, see, I'm not defining for people what magic is. All I'm saying is the magic is the more. The magic for you could be more abundance, more joy, more love, more, beyond your current level of conditioning, beyond your current level. It's beyond, it's the more, the magic is what you were truly here to experience in whatever area it is. And so the magic could be living your purpose. The magic could be, you fill in the blank of what the magic means to you. All I'm saying is magic is the bigness, is the fulfillment of the highest possibility of love, of purpose, of abundance, of whatever's truly important to you. And so if you want that magic, the next level, if you want that magic, here's the equation. You've got to surrender. The challenge is we often want the magic, but we don't want to surrender. We stay in little mediocre relationships, holding on to this mediocre relationship, and then we pray to God, saying, God, please, can you send me my soulmate? But here we are holding on to this toxic, mediocre relationship. We've got to let it go. So I'm inviting people to say, okay, what in my life am I holding on to that's not working anymore? We're constantly settling. And in life, you get what you settle for. We settle for less from ourselves. We settle for less in our relationships, because sometimes we think, maybe there's no one else. And so we settle. Clear away. If you want the magic in your life, clear away whatever is not a vibrational match. Clear away whatever is not truly aligned. Clear away whoever is not truly elevating your consciousness in your life as friends. Clear away and make the space. When you do that, you affirm your true belief and trust in the universe. And when you do that, you make the space. When you clear away the old, your energy starts then vibrating at a higher frequency. And in life, you don't get what you want. You don't get what you pray about. You don't get what you meditate about. You don't get what you affirm about. You don't even get what you visualize. You get what you are. You get what you are vibrationally, energetically, frequency-wise, and you get what you are by right of your consciousness. So if you're holding on to the old, you're staying stuck in the old vibration. Clear away. And when you let go, if you want the magic, you got to surrender. And surrendering the old. Surrendering what doesn't work. Surrendering to your truth and living that. And all I'll say is, I can't say what the magic will be for you, because what I've experienced in my life, there were many moments, Karina, where I had no idea that the magic that showed up was going to be the magic that showed up. I thought it was going to be something else. You know, I thought I was going to get a little chocolate box, and then the universe gave me a freaking 17-tier cake, that I didn't even imagine, with raw chocolate. And I'm like, wow, I just was expecting a little cacao nib. And so all I'm saying is the magic, when we truly surrender, life often, if we're open, many times works out in ways that are beyond what you can imagine. That's what's magical. That's what's amazing. Then we're left in awe and wonder and amazement. And that's the magic, And I really wish that for everybody.
Thank you so much, Kut. And for me also, magic, I want to close, is the unknown. It's like those things, like you said, that I least expect. including having you in my life and meeting you, because,
Right?
it's so beautiful when you really connect with people, you evolve, you have fun, it's easy, it's magical, like all the gifts that life and people have for us. So I want to really thank you so much for being in the podcast. I appreciate you, I love you, I admire you, and I want to congratulate you, because what you're doing for humanity and supporting so many people through your workshops and your books and everything you do, it's just incredible. It's so deep and so beautiful, and it's fun as well. So I want to thank you so much for being in the podcast. And to all of you, The Magic of Surrender is out now. Get your copy, get your book. You cannot miss this book and the past one, because the past one, it's also amazing. But thank you so much, my dear Kut.
Thanks for having me.
Y a todos ustedes, hasta la próxima.
Y vivir la vida en su plenitud empieza por la alimentación, y cuando dejamos de consumir el azúcar, algo sucede que nos comenzamos a despertar, porque el azúcar ya sabemos que nos adormece las emociones, nos adormece el cuerpo, causa inflamación, y cuando yo no me siento bien y tengo este vehículo, este templo que es mi cuerpo en salud total, que el azúcar pues no está considerada como una sustancia que nos provoque una salud integral, una salud plena, pues podemos vivir prosperando. Y es por eso que en Raw Keto decidimos hacer toda esta variedad de postres, de helados, de paletas sin azúcar, utilizando el monk fruit, precisamente para que podamos disfrutar de esas cosas hermosas, del dulce de la vida, pero de una forma sana, de una forma vibrante, y que apoye nuestro cuerpo y no lo enferme. Y abrimos una heladería en Vicente Suárez 25, Colonia Condesa, y para todos ustedes que estén interesados, porque también ya vendemos estos helados en diferentes supermercados del país, pues vayan a rawketo.com.mx y experimenten la vida dulce sin azúcar.